When Bharatwaj sir said he's naming me, I didn't like the name and I just said, why do you have to change it? So then he said, Asha is a very North Indianish and there is no Revathi. So you will be the first one. And people called Revathi, Revathi. I didn't respond because it didn't strike, it was me. So then I actually felt happy. I said, great. So people who are close to me call me Asha and all the rest of the world calls me Revathi. The person I have asked maximum is Ram Gopal Verma. I said, can you please give me a nice, woman Dawn role? Yeah. It has not happened. I even gave him stories.
Woman Dawn stories?
Of real women Dawn stories from Mumbai. I said, can you please cast me? Make a film. Didn't happen. I spoke to Balu sir and then he said, no, I can't see you in that. And then I said, wait. So then one day I went dressed in, something sexy, in what I thought was sexy. And went and he started laughing. He said, no, it doesn't suit you at all.
Maunaragam's Mohan is actually what they call today a red flag, because this woman explicitly told him, boss, I don't want to marry you. And he went ahead and said, listen, I'm just going to take her and she's going to be a wife or whatever it is. A good wife.
Oh, interesting.
Not
that a CEO of a company is not a tough job, but this is differently tough. It's more than creative, it's man management at location. Creativity stops the day you start shooting. Even after the filmmaking, promotions. I don't know, I just
interviews.
Darling, mobile ullagin superstar.
MCR Pure Cotton Club, formals and casual shirts. பாரம்பரியமான சுவையான புது அறிமுகம் KTV True Value Brown Attire.
Hello Revathi, lovely to have you in front of me in Galatta Plus.
Thank you, Baradwaj.
You are now director again in Tamil and you've come back to Tamil after a very long time.
Ama.
Yeah, Good Wife, written by Khalita Shamim, starring Priyamani and directed by Revathi. When in your career did you have that spark that said, listen, I'm acting in movies, but I actually want to direct films?
Very long back. It's very interesting that you asked me this question. Nobody ever asked this. So, sometime during the shoot of Anjali.
Oh,
yes.
That long back.
Yes. So, we had telephoto, Suresh and myself. We were doing series and things like that. One of the first Sun TV series was from Asiraval Urupagal and all that. When we were shooting for Anjali, I had a day off, and whenever even if I didn't have shoot, I would go to the set because it was just there, the kids would be there, and I used to sometimes cook and take it for the kids and all that. That was when cinema making was much simpler. And one day there was a scene, I don't remember the scene. I said, Mani, I really want to learn to write and understand, maybe someday I want to make a film. So he gave me a paper and he said, okay, write the scene. It was sometime in the morning, or 10 o'clock in the morning. But I sat with it and I had no words. Nothing was coming in my head. I know the scene, I know the situation, I know the characters, I know me and Raghu, what we were doing, the kids, everything. But I couldn't write a word. After lunch and everything, he said, what happened? I gave him back the blank paper and I said, I can't write. So it was just a interesting thought, but I always felt that maybe, I would like to be mentored by people like, Mani and Priyadarshan and all of them. And someday I will make a film. And since we had a production, I did try out some small short films and all that. And yeah.
Once that happened, did you actively pursue it or it just went into the background?
I did not actively pursue, mainly because I realized I'm a bad writer.
Okay.
I'm not able to, translate my thoughts or the story or the thing into a scene which has dialogue. I was able to write a paragraph about the scene, but I couldn't
Like a
create dialogue.
synopsis.
Yeah, I couldn't create dialogue between two characters, and that's when I realized the talent that one needs. Cinema itself requires so many different talents coming together. So when I worked in these I did two or three series. We did a production called Chinna Chinna Asai, where I got a lot of my actor friends to direct, because I wanted to direct. So I said others also would want to, and many of them wanted to. And that episode I wrote, but it was so bad, the dialogue, that the dialogue writer with me said, "Ma'am, can we do this? Can we do that?" And so like that I did 2, 3 small things, and then Mitra came by.
So then Mitra all the way to Salam Venki and now Good Wife. What do you like about directing?
To be able to tell a story from your point of view.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but whether it was Mitra or Phir Milenge, the 3 features that I've done, Salam Venki, all my protagonists were middle-aged women or the age that I was going through. Kajol is a mother of a 24-year-old in my last film. So, I don't know, I feel that there are not many stories told about women my age, and there are stories. And an actor of my age has so much more to say. I'm talking about, with her body language and her performance. I feel she always has so much more to say. What I was able to say in my 20s was much lesser than what I would be able to say now. I think that power I like, that I'm able to create characters for women around this age and see them perform.
Right.
When I was watching Shilpa perform in Phir Milenge 12 years back, and now when I'm watching Kajol perform in my film, I feel very happy to see that I was able to give something which they felt challenged with.
I think you are saying something right now with just the way you are, because you're one of the very, very few actors, female actors, that have embraced the grey.
Yeah.
And I think this is saying a lot, because it's a choice, right? Because you can choose the other option, but you've chosen this. At what point did you say, enough, this is me, this is who I want the world to see? Because with male actors, we have classic examples like Mr. Rajnikant, who has never cared about the
Never.
way he looks in
Yeah.
real life,
Yeah.
because he knows that the person on screen is somebody else. And
People always loved him there.
loved him there. And people love him even more in,
Yeah.
in real life. But with female actors, it's very, very uncommon. So at what point does this act of bravery, if I may, come about?
See, I always was myself most of the time. Sometimes I used to get pushed by the peer pressure that, oh, one has to dress like this because you're an actor, or one has to be like this because, you are a celebrity. But many times I've gone back to who I am. And I don't know if people have noticed, but the way I dress or what I wear is always what I want to do. And being an actor never stopped me from going out into the sun, getting tanned, going on rallies, going sailing, nothing. Acting is a job that I love, but that cannot stop me from being who I am. So when, I was going grey and used to have these small little greys coming every week. You have to touch it up and you can't go coloring. I'm very lazy with going to beauty parlors. I'm not the beauty parlor kind. So, and I would take mascara and touch it up, and I would put my kajal and touch it up and all that. I got fed up. I said, okay, I'm done. And at some point, I think during the shoot of Good Wife, I made a decision. I love direction more than acting
Oh,
because I am bored with what is written for me or the characters that were coming for me. I was bored. And during this shoot, I made that decision that I'm not coloring. And I asked Ravi, Stills Ravi, who has taken some of my most beautiful pictures even before I came on screen in Manvasane in
Okay.
83. So he has taken some beautiful pictures of mine, which he still shares sometimes. I asked him, because he took some pictures during my shoot. I said, what do you think? Shall I just go grey? He said, you look beautiful, do it.
you do.
So, so it was like, it was just a thing. I just wanted to feel whether it's okay, And then I said, yeah, what the hell? And here I am. So do you like it?
It's lovely. I
You only have it here. Sorry.
no, I know what you're saying though. So, because you've come across as such a strong person, you're outspoken, you're the Hema committee, this, that. One heard a lot about you. I always go back to that one moment when a director discovers you and says, I know you're called Asha, but I'm going to rename you as Revathi. And you're giving up a kind of identity to be in the movies. What were your thoughts then when you said, okay, like I'm giving up my name?
I was 17, Baradwaj. I don't think, and see, we were not as smart 17-year-olds as the 17-year-olds today are. We were much more naive. Our heads were much simpler. And when Bharataraja sir said he's naming me, I didn't like the name. And I just said, why do you have to change it? So then he said, Asha is a very North Indianish and all that. I said, okay, fine.
Asha's a North Indian name.
North Indianish name,
Okay.
And there is already an Asha Parekh, Asha
Yeah.
Bhosle. So there is Asha in the industry. And then there is no Revathi. So you will be the first one. So it really didn't matter to me because these things did not really matter to me. But later, I remember I studied, I did my 9th and 10th in Holy Angels. So my friends and myself, we would walk down Pandi Bazaar, So Masne shoot, and after it was released and all that, we, as usual, we took a day off and we were just walking down. And they were in college, I was not even in college. I was working and all that. So, and people called Revathi. I didn't respond because it didn't strike, it was me. So then I actually felt happy. I said, great. So people who are close to me call me Asha and all the rest of the world calls me Revathi. So then I felt happy.
So that way you know who's who.
Who is who?
One thing that, before we start talking about The Good Wife, it started off as a conversation on the internet and then it came to my blog, and I asked this question to Varsha Bharat, who's made this movie called Bad Girl, and which is going to come out soon. But I'll ask you the question because you are actually part of this movie, Mauna Ragam. So this thing that came about in the internet was that Mauna Ragam's Mohan is actually what they call today a red flag, because this woman explicitly told him, boss, I don't want to marry you. And he went ahead and said, listen, I'm just going to take her and she's going to be a wife or whatever it is, a good wife.
Oh, interesting.
So in one way I kind of get it, but I believe that movies belong to a particular time, and sometimes you just have to look at it through that lens. But I totally get what these guys are saying as well. So I was like, since you're part of the movie, and because You have a lot of thoughts about this. What do you make of this?
It's one of my favorite movies, directed by one of my favorite directors. I'm not going to comment on it.
You have to comment.
No.
Come on.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at it in that way.
But it's interesting, right?
It's interesting, Baradwaj. And, I'll tell you, even when I, work and discuss in WCC, there are certain times when girls say, but, this is not done. And I look at them and I say, oh my God, during my younger days, all this has happened and I didn't even know that this is not done.
What is this like?
A simple thing, a flirtatious line, or even when somebody holds you and it happens to be in the wrong part of your body.
Okay.
And you just move away and say, oh, it must be by mistake. You don't even think.
That it could.
I never thought. That's what I said. We were so naive. And sometimes when I speak to the younger generation, I'm able to learn so much more that, oh yes, this is a red flag, like you called it. And this is not a done thing. And now, this generation is teaching me. So it's a constant learning process, and the way they think is so different, and the way we thought in that age was very different. So Maunaragam made today, I'm sure it would have been made differently. And that line that Mohan said was one of the most cutest line then, but I suppose not now.
What is the line that Mohan said?
He says that, he just said that.
Why does a baby cry? That line.
Illa, why does a baby cry? Illa? There was something when the line that always stayed with me is பொண்ணு பார்க்கிறது வந்து சந்தையில போய் மாட்டை பார்க்குற மாதிரி இருக்கு.
Yeah, that's what you say.
That's what I say, and for that he just smiles and said, but எனக்கு ஒன்று பிடிச்சிருக்கு.
Yeah.
Now, was that flirtatious line or was it a sincere line?
Yeah.
Because in the end, the way he is molded, that character is molded, is actually he's a good man. He cares and he wants, because he fell in love with her the moment she said that. Though she had no feelings. And he finds out the reason only after she talks about the flashback. And even then he was, he felt generous and he understood and said, okay, fine, you go ahead. You go your way, I go my way. So I don't think it is that big a red flag, because maybe I'm from that generation.
If you made this movie today, would you
Oh, God.
would you tell him that, listen, boss, I still have unresolved feelings about
Yes.
this person?
Yeah,
and
I would, yes.
That would be
That would happen.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't hide it so much. Because those days you did things for the family, for your father, a father who has, had a heart attack. There are many things we did.
Right.
We did things without thinking that it is a compromise.
Right.
Now they have this word saying compromise, but we didn't even know that. So I don't know.
What about the good wife? Rather, good wife. I keep saying the good wife. I don't know why. Good wife. What about this? Spoke to Revathi, like as a director, as an actor, as a woman. What about it spoke to you and said, like, this is something I'd like to get into?
When the script came to me and when I then saw the original in Hindi trial, I did not see The Good Wife then, which is the US production. I saw snippets of it to understand what the whole milieu is. What I liked is, this is what most women go through. You are in a career, you think that you want to continue that career, but you give up once you have a family because you feel that you need to give time to your children more than anything else. And then something happens and they have to get back to their career. Her situation is different. Tarunika's situation is very different. But
That's the Priyamani character.
That's a Priyamani character. But most women do get back once the kids grow up. And there is a point when you feel that you're not needed by anybody. Your kids are grown up, they have their life, college and things like that. And the husband is also at the peak of his career where, he's also busy. Suddenly you feel lost. The time that you put into your family, you feel that you're not needed, which is only maybe to upkeep of the house and the food on the table. And that is when women suddenly feel that they want to get back to the career that they once wanted to pursue. So I feel this is the story of every woman. And Tarunika, which is Priyamani in Good Wife, has that role where because of an issue, she has to get back to a career which she had given up.
Right.
She was forced to.
It's
she
in the
is
trailer.
forced to. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So she is forced to because of what the husband does, betrayal. So it connected with me. And then how she grows. And it's a very, there is no putting the woman on the pedestal. It is a woman with shades of grey, a man with shades of grey. Sampath's character, Gunashilan, he's also not a bad man. Something happened, he's not sincere with his wife, fine. We encounter many men like that in our lives. But there is a part of him which is very committed, to his family or whatever, and he wants to get everything right. Shades of grey again. Then you have Ari's character, Hari Deepak. His is the only one that, somewhere feels very the right man. All the other characters, when you see the series, they all have shades of grey. And I like that. Even Tarunika is not put on a pedestal. She has her thoughts, she has her feelings, she has her ups and downs, and she still carries it because she's a mother of 2 kids and she's a woman.
Right. Now, one of the questions that often comes up when directors are discussed is, why aren't there as many female directors as male directors? In your experience, what is the answer?
In my own experience as an actor, director, it's just that there are many things in life that take priority at different times. In my life, it took priority, and so I made certain choices, and instead of doing one film after another as a director, I kept stepping back.
You kept stepping back to attend to the life things.
Yeah. Went into life things, and definitely being an actor is much easier. I keep saying it's a vacation when compared to being a director. Director is a tough job, and there is a perspective maybe which does not connect with the audience. A woman's perspective. I don't know.
Okay.
There are very few women who have actually been able to crack it in the commercial arena of cinema, filmmaking as such. Maybe that, Baradwaj, I'm not very sure. It's a tough job too. Not that a CEO of a company is not a tough job, but this is differently tough. It's more than creative, it's man management. At location, creativity stops the day you start shooting.
Right.
From the day you start shooting, it is man management, finance management, time management, whatever. It's. I wish more and more people who have done management come into filmmaking. They'll be better.
You said earlier that when you were talking about Anjali and the blank page thing, you said that filmmaking used to be simpler then.
Yes.
Why simpler?
It was not so complicated. There were not so many agencies and agent people around trying to put together. It is called a project now. It is not a movie. It's a project. Because it may have also become bigger financially. So there are too many agencies coming into it. So there it was like... fine, during Mauna Raga Manjari. I didn't even read the script. You just trust the director. You know his sensibilities. You go and act. There are no caravans. You sit together with everybody. You know everybody. You know every production boy. You know the assistant directors by name. You don't have 5 people around you touching your head, touching your face. For me, I find that very irritating when I'm in front of the camera. I keep telling, anybody who's with me, please don't come and touch my face when I'm in front of the camera, because there's something else going on in my head. And even after the filmmaking, promotions. I don't know, I just
interviews.
Instagram, the social media, oh my God. I feel so sad for the actors these days. They have to do so much more. I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed being a queen. So I feel that it's very simple.
You spoke about shades of grey. Among the characters that you've played, one thing that that kept coming your way was the nice, good family girl.
Yes.
That kept happening a lot.
A lot.
Yeah,
A lot.
you look pained.
Yes. There are 2-3 times I tried getting out of it, and especially one specific project called Marubadim, Balu sir's film.
That's one of your defining films.
Yes, but then I wanted to do the other role.
Oh, okay.
Because Smita Patil had done it in Hindi.
Yeah.
Earth. A huge fan of Smita Patil, not that, Shabana's also, but a huge fan of Smita Patil, and I wanted to try that role.
Right.
And I even, I spoke to Balu sir, and then he said, no, I can't see you in that. And then I said, wait. So then one day I went dressed in, something sexy, in what I thought was sexy. And went, and he started laughing. He said, no, it doesn't suit you at all. I was so upset. So then I said, okay, fine. So then, then the other role, yes, Tulsi was what I did.
But have you played Shades of Grey ever?
I did a web series called Tooth Pari, and I
Okay.
played a witch.
Okay. Like
like
a
a-
children's witch, like
No,
a fairy
not
tale.
a children's witch, but it's something to do with, it's a fantasy.
It's fantasy.
series,
Yeah, meaning like a fairy tale. That
kind of a thing.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So in Calcutta, that was interesting to do that, but really, sadly, I haven't done. And I keep telling the person I have asked maximum is Ram Gopal Verma. I said, can you please give me a nice, woman dawn role? It has not happened. I even gave him stories.
Woman dawn stories.
Of real women dawn stories from Mumbai. I said, can you please cast me, make a film? Didn't happen.
What was your experience of working with Ram Gopal Verma?
I've had fun. I did 2 really lovely films. One is Rath, and the other is Gayam in Telugu.
Yeah.
Both were beautiful films. And he's a fabulous storyteller when he tells you the story. And he's still a very good friend of mine. So I've enjoyed myself. And I also tell him when he does bad films, I tell him what is happening with you. And that has been going on for a bit now. Performances and productions in Bombay, I don't see any of these kids ever holding their dialogue paper in their hands. Here, when we talk about trained and untrained actors, it really doesn't make a difference, because sometimes it is the innocence and the ignorance that helps a movie like Manvasane. While dubbing, I used to say, better pannirkalam, idu inga ipdi pannirkalam, yen ipdi paathen, that constantly kept on coming, and I suppose that is where you learn. And I didn't know what to do with my hands, because for an actor, the biggest issue most actors will understand is, what do they do with their hands? Most men put it into their pockets. What do women do? They will hold their pallu. If you don't have a pallu, what do you do with your hands? Kamalji told me, the biggest issue is hands. Ilya, he said. And I realized that he has noticed, thanks to many of the directors who have taught me, is not to act in front of the actors. Malayalam, there's a movie called Kakothikavla Pupantadigal. I acted as a gypsy. Oh, I loved doing that, because I was doing, I was wearing dirty clothes. I was dirty, looking dirty all the time. And I would sit anywhere. I would just, wipe my mouth. And I was happy doing it. And suddenly I felt, it would have been a great thing to have a gypsy life, isn't it?
டார்லிங் மொபைல் உலகின் சூப்பர் ஸ்டார்.
MCR Pure Cotton Club, formals and casual shirts. பாரம்பரியமான சுவையான புது அறிமுகம் KTV True Value Brona Tile.